Happy New Year, and I wish a healthier you for 2023 and beyond. My name is Bernard Kwabi-Addo. I'm a research scientist, an educator, and the author of Check the Facts, Eliminate Chronic Diseases. By popular demand, I'm thrilled to present my workbook on Check the Facts, which is now available on Amazon.com. The purpose for writing this workbook is to provide a toolkit, a learning aid about what we need to do on a regular basis to improve the quality of our health. This workbook provides guidelines that can be followed as individual reinforcements. Incorporated into our regular conversations, the workbook is useful for book clubs and other small group studies, as well as for family settings. So this workbook is an 86-page journal, which is very interactive and divided into 16 sections. It begins with a short introduction about the current overweight and obesity pandemic, which is driving chronic diseases, including heart disease, diabetes, hypertension, strokes, Alzheimer's disease, and cancer. And the underlying risk factors, two of which are poor diet and sedentary lifestyle. Part 2 is a welcome section for participants, and it helps participants to take an inventory of their health to start using this workbook. And then a series of questionnaire assessment, including diet, water intake, physical activity, to really help participants to really record their status before they start this workbook usage. And then similar questionnaire is going to be asked at the end of using this workbook. Section 3 describes some of the scientific published data on diseases that are specifically affected by diet. And with diet, I mean poor diet. And section 4 looks at all the dietary components. So these are the carbohydrates, the proteins, and the fats, which are the micronutrients. And also the micronutrients, these are minerals and vitamins, which are also very essential for our overall well-being. Section 5 specifically looks at the role of different dietary components, and insulin, a powerful hormone that we know plays a role in diabetes, but it's also a big player in body weight and obesity, and is linked to a lot of poor disease outcome and a lot of chronic diseases. And section 6, we all want to know what is the ideal diet for good health. Section 6 really discusses a plethora of the dietary patterns that are out there, from Mediterranean diet to vegetarian, vegan diet, to caloric restriction diet, protein-rich diet, the DASH diet, which is dietary approaches to stop hypertension, and also the modern westernized diet, which of course is not one of the best diets for overall health. Section 7 looks at the recommended 2,000 caloric intake for individuals that are trying to maintain or even lose weight. And I provide tables of some of the common food and information about their caloric content. And this is really be a guide to help individuals to really be able to track down their caloric intake and their weight gain. So again, this is a very interactive workbook. So at the end of each section, there is a page questionnaire to basically just jog your memory as to how much you have learned from the particular section. Section 8 looks at the essential roles of exercise or physical activity, and also discusses why we cannot realistically, at least for many of us, try to lose weight via physical exercise. Physical exercise is incredibly vital for our well-being. The section also discusses the role of physical exercise in specific diseases. But we cannot realistically lose weight in the long term through physical activity because we have very little control on how the body utilizes caloric energy from food. And you may say that, look, I'm eating healthily, I'm exercising, and yet I'm putting on weight. And actually that tells us there's a lot of other factors that comes into play in our overall health and also in our weight. So section 9 looks at the role of gut health. We are just beginning to understand the importance of our gut health, which directly links to our mental health and, of course, our overall health. And section 10 talks about the importance of having a quality restorative sleep. When we get good enough amount of sleep, guess what? This helps the body to repair, to heal itself. So that is covered in section 10. Section 11 looks at our genetic factors. So there's a lot of genetic factors that contribute to our body physiology, our weight gain, and even how we metabolize food. So it's important for all of us to choose the nutritional foods that really fit with our biology. And we have to look at health holistically. This is covered in section 12. We are human beings with a soul and a spirit. So when we talk about health, really, it is all the three entities that coming together to be in sync. Guess what? If your mental health is poor, it affects your spiritual and your physical well-being. So we really have to look at health holistically. And one of the best therapy for holistic health well-being is prayer and fasting. This is discussed in section 12. Section 13 looks at why we struggle to lose weight. Guess what? The body does not want to lose fat. We are well adapted to store fat for periods of starvation or food scarcity. Fat is there as a source of energy for the brain and other body organs. So the body does everything not to lose the fat. But guess what? Don't despair. It's better to be fit and fat than skinny and unwell. So you want to do all that you can to stay healthy. And in the process, if you're lucky, you may lose a little weight. Section 14 looks at workable solutions, how we can maintain constant body weight using the so-called body mass index, which is really a measure or a ratio of your weight and your height. So when you implement some of the suggested changes in this workbook, you can track your BMI or your body mass index over a period of weeks and months to see how some of these changes, these healthy changes you're making, is impacting your overall health. Workable solution also provide a section of the importance of do your annual physical. That way it helps you to know your metabolic markers or your numbers. This is very, very important, because if your numbers are off, for instance, if your blood sugar level is really high, then you can really begin to assess how you are eating, cutting down on sugar, cutting down on starches. So this is some of the things that are discussed in section 14 on workable solutions. And of course, at the end of that, again, there is a page of questions. Again, I made this an interactive workbook. Section 15, look at some of the frequently asked questions. Does certain medications make me put on weight? How important is cholesterol? How important the stress hormone cortisol? And other hormones such as melatonin, which is the sleep hormone. And the section that I love most is on section 16. This is really where it's participation from individuals. So you can begin to summarize what you have learned and some of the actions that you can take. And there are pages that will really help you to begin to plan your food, change your grocery, count your calories. So let's delve in a little bit more into the workbook. So again, I begin by encouraging participants to assess their health by following a few questionnaires. But I'll encourage you to actually put down a date when you started using this workbook. This will really help you over a period of time to see some of the improvement that you have made. So again, there's a ranking from 1 to 10, 1 being poor and 10 being excellent. So some of the questions are is your diet healthy, nutritious? Then you'll be ranking between 6 and higher. Or is your diet really poor, meaning is it mostly ultra-processed foods? Then your ranking will be on the lower end, maybe 2 to 5. Are you consuming enough water? Are you participating in the recommended physical activity? So these are some of the assessment that you make to start at the start of using this workbook. And again, like I mentioned, at the end of each section, there's a list of questions to really help individuals to really gain something from the particular session. So again, for example, the section on dietary patterns for good health, some of the questionnaire at the end is, what is the best diet to reduce or even reverse hypertension? Okay. So again, like I mentioned, the section on caloric intake, the recommended 2000 or thereabout caloric intake, I provide a few tables which will really give information about the calories in common foods that we consume, some of the common westernized food and some common ethnic foods. And then how we can break this 2000 caloric intake into breakfast, lunch, and dinner with some snacks. So here are examples of some foods that are, let's say breakfast, 2 egg, mushroom, and so many other items that can add up to 500 calories, and lunch, and then your snack and your dinner intake. And so I provide a few dietary examples. And I love this one on ethnic food. So I'm a strong proponent for ethnic food as an alternative to some of the ultra processed foods out there. Ethnic foods are rich in vegetables, rich in whole grain, organic food, and great with spices, full of spices, which is better than a lot of the sugar in our meals. But some of the ethnic foods are high in the caloric, highly dense calorically. So it's important to really have an idea of the calories in the food that you're consuming. This way, you can either reduce the portion or reduce the food frequencies. So again, section 14 on workable solution, and the book really encourages people to have the annual physical. This will really help you to know your metabolic markers or your numbers. So for instance, if your blood glucose is very high, then you can begin to really cut down on your carbohydrates. These are the sugar and the starches, your carbohydrate intake, to really reduce and maybe help you to reverse some of this condition. Okay, so a section on frequently asked questions. Can therapeutic drugs increase weight gain and obesity? Just like food, right? Are there parallels in food and drug addiction? So these are some of the questions. And again, our last section 16. This is all up to the participant. So you begin by summarizing what the sections that you have studied, what you have learned, and some of the actions that you're going to take. Yeah. So again, you began with an assessment. So after, let's say you can do weekly wellness assessment change, you can begin to put down, okay, I made certain changes in my nutrition. Okay, now I'm eating more fruits and vegetables compared to what I was doing before. I'm now walking more than I did before, drinking more water. So this really helps you to write down some of the changes that you have made and then rank yourself as you go along. And then, of course, you can track some of your habits, that hopefully good habits that you have changed: nutrition, fitness, self-care, and so forth. And hopefully this the section on dietary component is really help you to appreciate why it's important to eat a variety of foods, a variety of vegetables, a variety of fruits, for the micronutrients, for the vitamins, for the essential carbohydrates, for the essential proteins, for the essential fats that we need for healthy, optimum well-being. So hope now you can list some of the fruits that perhaps you were not consuming before. You can list it here. Hey, I'm going to be buying this sort of fruits, more vegetables, more whole grains, more snacks. And you can say, hey, I'm eliminating certain foods from my diet. So let's go shopping, make your healthy grocery list. And then get excited. You can make your own recipe based on some of the information that you have gained from this workbook. And then you can plan your food accordingly. Bear in mind the 2,000 caloric or thereabouts. So average woman is recommended you consume between up to about 2,000 calories. For average male, up to about 2,500 calories. So you can begin to design your food, maybe breakfast, lunch, dinner, 500 calories each, and with some snacks in between, 250 calories to make up to the 2,000 calories, or any way you want to design your meal. And again, you can track your wellness your daily on a daily basis. Some of the changes that I'm making this year is going to bed a little bit early, so I can get up a little bit early also, try to limit the amount of artificial light, because this is really impacting a very important hormone, melatonin, the sleep hormone, and can really affect your health in the long term. So you can track your wellness on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, and on a monthly basis. So I'm, again, a strong proponent for small incremental changes. Drastic changes don't really work in the long term. So really make some small incremental changes a period of time. And this wellness book is going to help you to track it over that period to see if some of the changes that you're making is having an impact. So I just want to, again, end by reiterating the importance of good health. We can't take our health for granted. It's important that we have good health, and so we can really live life to the fullest. So I pray that you may enjoy good health, and that it may go well with you for 2023 and beyond, and that your soul will also prosper. So again, some of the actions that we need to take on a regular basis is our spiritual well-being. What is your relationship with your God? What is your spiritual belief? Our soul wellness, our mental well-being, and of course, our physical well-being. And for further information, this workbook really accompanies my book on Check the Facts, Eliminate Chronic Diseases. This came out a little over a year ago and is still available on Amazon.com. And I provide additional websites with useful information both in the US and in the United Kingdom. So again, I want to thank you for your audience, and Check the Facts workbook is now available on Amazon.com. By the way, if you are interested in the content provided here, please click like at the bottom of this YouTube channel, and feel free to subscribe to it if you want more information, or you are interested in getting more information about health and wellness. So thank you for your audience. Thank you. Bye-bye.